Peace, 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 peace. These glasses mean I can read better, but I cannot see better. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I pray you are well. So, I've really enjoyed this discussion on sexuality and spirituality and how they shouldn't be separated, how they are a benefit to each other, how they represent the wholeness of ourselves, um, how they connect in spirit work, all those things. And I'm grateful that for me, it connects to the um, the discussions on connecting with nature, spirituality, and nature. So the other, yeah, I have said before that I teach biology to high school students, and we were in class the other day, and we were discussing the life cycle of a flowering plant. So there's lots of sex in the life cycle of a flowering plant. There's the male and female part of the flower. There's the pollen, which is the sperm, the male part. There's the uh, ovule, which receives the pollen and creates eggs. Um, so many things that happen in the flower, and then even the what the flower needs to do in order to make sure that that process happens. So I'm a sucker for Bill Nye, and we are watching the Bill Nye video. I will show high schoolers elementary videos because I feel like if it gets discussed and accomplished, especially if it's in a fun way and it's in a way that makes it simple enough to absorb, who could be against that? So there was a part in the video where um, someone called flowers a flirt, called them flirts, and I can hear that song uh, in my head. And so, of course, that means that the flowers are tantalizing, they are seductive, they are appealing to all the pollinators. They are made so that they have ultraviolet stripes that lead the bees right to the nectar so they can pick up the pollen, so they can go to another flower and do the same thing. They smell good. They have when the fruit are created, the fruit tastes good, so the seeds get absorbed, so the animals will eat them and then poop out the seeds somewhere else. Like there's so many things that plants are doing to make sure that they are, I mean, downright sexy to the rest of nature. It's the best thing that they're doing, and it's necessary so that all of nature can continue, so that we can eat, so that the animals can eat, so that the ecosystems can continue, so the circle of life can happen. And that is quite sexy. So, thinking about the fact that sexuality and spirituality were never meant to be separated. I don't know if the bubbling of my water showed up on the screen, but that's funny to me. Never meant to be separated. I'm going to look at the intersection of these are some of the other discussions we've had, so they're in the playlist. The intersection of being a good girl, respectability, politics, and even the nature and how sexuality and spirituality were never meant to be separated. So rock with me for a second. I am a Black woman. I'm born in the United States and have spent the majority of my life in the United States. So um, I remember somewhere around elementary school, when my Blackman, which is what my father has described as my backside, um, started to develop. And there's a picture of me, and at like 9, or I don't know, whatever year the butt came in relation to my life, doing the butt, hand out, hand on my hips, everything. And that may have been one of the last times that I felt that comfortable sticking up my butt and shaking it. Um, in years following, uh, I have never known Black folks, men or women, to not like a round butt. Um, women, we do a lot to make sure that our butts look round. We look at other sisters who are in clothes where they filling them out and give them props. Oh, girl, look at you. Da, 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 da. You filling out them pants, blah, blah, blah. I don't know a brother who don't like a thick bottom. And as evidenced for most of my junior high and high school career, the attention I received made me feel self conscious. I've been pinched and smacked and jokes and whatever. And most of this is the manifestation of ignorant young men not knowing how to thoroughly appreciate what they are seeing and to say it in a way that is flattering. Uh, or to even consider that there is a person attached to what it is that they are attracted to. So that aside, I remember by the time getting to my eighth grade dance in junior high and watching one of the girls from the basketball team she was very brolic, like she was something about her muscles, like it didn't feel feminine when she moved. She moved kind of like this, but she was out there on the eighth grade floor twerking. She had everything with her. And so as I've gotten older, I know I've been in spaces with sisters who have led het heru dances and belly dancing and all kind of things that are activating, this part of our bodies that are activating this red, orange, yellow chakra area, um, which is very important for so many reasons. I've been to conferences where elders who have talked about have I don't know if they were admonishing, but they were speaking to the adults and saying, the twerking that we're seeing is the same as many traditional dances that are happening on the continent. The context is different. We have to be able to show our children, why these things exist, where they've come from. And so, even with all of that, it has taken me well into my 40s to even want to twerk, and not because I need to like. I hear DJ Quick in my head. It's not because there's a particular song or anything. I went to a day of healing when I was in Ghana. And one of the sisters, after the yoga and the discussion and eating and the centering and, all the things, she was like, okay, we're going to have some movement. And the movement was twerking. And I was like, oh my God, I'm very underprepared to twerk. Even with all the hip openings, with the belly dancing, there is another mechanics to twerking that there's only some things I could accomplish. And somehow I was like, ooh, and I realized it has come from years of attempting to hide my shape, which is impossible. Like I had a sister friend one time, I put on a boo boo and she was like, I could still see it. She was like, doesn't make any difference. I can still see it. And not that I would want my shape to go away. I remember I made a post on social media one time about loving my backside and loving it for me and separating the gaze of others from my appreciation for my own body. And I love when I see a sister go down the street and she stops men in their tracks and they're like, because to me, that is evidence of God. I'm like, if anything makes you stop, the world stops. And there have been men who have made jokes about uh, two brothers see a woman with a glorious backside go by and then look at each other and be like, did you see that? It's a wonder of nature. It's like saying, did you see the moon? Or did you see that rainbow? Or have you seen this glorious sky? It is just like that. I'm not being, I'm not speaking in metaphors and I'm not being hyperbolic. It's a wonder of nature. So even that, and when we do, when we're in yoga and we're looking to release feelings and emotions, we open the hips. So, we get into frog pose, we do happy baby, we open our pelvis, we spread our hips, we rotate our hips, all of those things. And I think about this was the intersection I'm talking about. I think about how respectability politics and living in the United States, how the dissonance of being a woman in a Black body, being an African in a woman's body, however it breaks down, the dissonance of existing as I do in a place that, as we've heard many times, wants all of my rhythm and none of my blues, that appreciates every aspect of me as long as they can pull it apart, make it a la carte, and ignore that I exist at all. So they'll take my hair, they'll take my complexion, they'll take my shape, they'll take my sound, they'll take my walk, they'll take the consistency of my breast milk. They will take every piece of me that they can take, uh, everything, everything, and then shame me for it when I hold it in its totality. When we think about and forgive me if I don't say it correct, but the Tignon law in New Orleans, where Black women had to wrap up their hair because it was supposedly making white men really attracted to them and making white women jealous. I mean, straight facts. And so they would wrap their hair in the Tignon, which to me is a gele, and then decorated so much that even the punishment of having this big glorious mane that now had to be wrapped up was yet another attractive, beautiful, glistening form of African womanhood. Consistently, we hear about appropriation and the difference between appropriation and appreciation. Just recently, and I refuse to say his name, just recently, some ignorant white male musician claimed he was getting blacker. Like that's something that can be separated from a from a whole culture of people. Like you can distill it out, boil this down and pull it out. It's cosplaying in culture. So you have these places where, even though Black women have been desired forever, since before we got here, when they showed up where we were on the continent, desired in secret, abused in secret, um, um, despised and desired in the same statement, by both European men and women. Um, it's such a mind game to look at everything around you and see that the attempt has been to take aspects of you and put them in everything that is being commodified and sold, but that you as a whole person, that me as a whole Black woman, that is not respected. But all the things that can be distilled, or the attempts to distill things from me, that's okay. It's a real mind game. And so in the respectability politics of it, it's like, well, I can't be me as me, but if anyone wants to cosplay me, if anyone wants to affect my mannerisms and behave like that, if anyone wants to attempt to sing like me, talk like me, walk like me, whatever, that seems to be okay, but me being me is not okay. So there's that. And then, of course, if you're a good girl, because back to respectability, many of us are taught that if you're a good girl, you don't stick out your hip and let your backbone slip. It's cool to sing it in a children's song, but when you get old enough, there's the threat of, because of course the threat is put on the oppressed, not the oppressor. There's the threat of being sexually abused or harmed because it's your fault that you're too attractive. It's your fault that your hips are round. It's your fault that your bosom's full. All those things are the fault of the woman carrying it. And because I speak from this place, the fault of the Black woman or girl carrying it. Um, the amount of women that I heard when the whole R. Kelly thing initially came out with the young girl and young girls, the amount of women that blamed the girls was mind blowing to me. And it's mind blowing, but it's not, because there's so much injected oppression that exists here in this place to make sure that we carry out our own oppression. So of course it feels safer to women to blame the woman for what has happened to her, because then these women believe it won't happen to them, because I don't do that. I don't twerk. I don't pop it. I don't drop it like it's hot. I don't, whatever it is that has caused this poor girl or woman to end up in that situation, I don't do it. So I'm safe, as opposed to realizing that because it is thought to be allowed, or it's thought to be just consequence of being male, that sexual violence can happen against women, that nobody is safe. Not even men's emotions or the insides of them are safe if this is okay behavior. That's the good girl thing. The natural thing is that it feels good to move your hips. It feels good to move your butt. You I I had the blessing of visiting with a family that has a toddler baby girl. And every time music came on, the first thing that moved was her hips. First thing. Like, bop, bop, bop. She would follow the rhythm. Bop, bop, bop. She'd stick her arm up, one to the side, stick her arm up next to the side. Just, you know, a healthy spine, healthy hips, good flexibility. One of the things we have trouble with as we get older is moving our hips, is getting up out of chairs, is bending our knees, is all of the things that we did when we were children that felt really good, moving our bodies, moving our hips. Um, then we are told that's not appropriate. Don't do that. And then you get older and you realize, crap, if I lived a life where the movement in my body was okay, the synovial fluid in my joints would be amazing. And I'd be in here sliding like the Tin Man, like someone slid some oil to me. I'd be in here like magic. But all of those things that I mentioned rob us of our sexuality, which for my purpose is the fullness of our physical expression in connection to the world around us. So robbed of the feel of like that good movement, of hearing, giving you that good movement, of looking sensual as you move, not because you're trying to seduce somebody, but just because if you watch a really beautiful bird, you can't take your eyes off of it. There were peacocks in Ghana that people would just stop. People who have seen these peacocks many times before. And all he had to do was lift up those feathers and they'd be like, huh, it's the same. When we are moving and we are really able to move with abandon, like to leave any of anyone's ideas or any fetters behind. It is a beautiful thing to see. To see people dance like they're on fire. Oh, it's something to watch. It's something to watch. I'm always amazed that the body can move like that. I'm amazed that their muscle memory is the way that it is. I'm amazed that they are so in sync with the rhythm of the music and the drum that they can fly, that they can literally fly, like they stay up off the ground. So all of those things, um, trying to fit our Black bodies into a space that's never meant for us, that wants to piece up that Black body and sell it out while shaming where it came from. Um, and even to think about, so I think about the, I think about how my body has to be used in ritual space, um, not just in ritual space, and just so many things. In giving birth, I had to have enough body awareness to be able to follow the directions of the midwife, to be able to say what I needed, to be able to speak as I needed, to be able to, even when my babies were born, to be able to be attuned enough to them to know what they needed and what we needed together. So it can't be that these bodies that are so necessary to have a knowledge that is beyond words and beyond rhetoric, that we get to a point where it's okay to shame us for being in these bodies and then see all the places in life where we need to be firmly in our bodies, where we need to be liquid in our bodies, where we need to be free in our bodies, where it affects our health, where it affects our spiritual uh, power, where it affects our mental health, where it affects our physical um, mobility, flexibility, all of those things, because we allow other people to tell us that that is not becoming, that is not okay, that's not what you should do. When all the things that we feel like we should do with our bodies that feel natural to us from childhood forward are the things that keep us whole and healthy as we move on. In ritual space, there are so many things in the body that signal the spiritual work that is happening. Tears can come, heat can come, headaches can come, the chest can tighten, the belly can tighten, everything can go loose. You can feel like you're on a roller coaster. The body moves and dance. The voice is lifted in song. Drums are played with the body. There is just so much. There's movement that is done consistently, that allows us to be in a space of trance. It can't be done sitting still. It can't be done standing still and then going, okay, please give me whatever it is I'm asking for. The movement allows us to get into a synchronicity with spirit, allows us to move into that shared container that I spoke of yesterday, where the best word I can have for it is where the connection of heaven and earth is found in that shared space, and we can spin so that we end up in sync with it. As I see tornadoes, I see hurricanes, I see the little thing that we do when we take a soda jug and then try to make a little hurricane inside of it. And all of those things require the body. Even knowing for those of us who open ourselves up to being mounted or to be possessed, even being able to feel um, which bosom or orisha you're opening yourself up to be sensitive to how that spirit would like to move. To it's so many things, and they all require our bodies. They all require being fully grounded in our bodies. Again, spirituality and sexuality are not separated. They're not separated. And every time we allow someone to remove one part of us, we limp along. We cannot see fully because we're not completely aware. All of the parts of us are required for full awareness and connection. Um, so I just want to encourage you that anytime you run into a place where any of those aforementioned fetters or chains or whatever it is have been placed on your unique person and being to stop you from being your unique person and being, um, to do your best to put it down and step away from it so you can be whole, so you can do the healing work necessary for yourself so that you can contribute to a shared space of healing for your community. And that's what I got. Sexuality and spirituality are not separate. This is Reverend Okonkwo Malimu Yogi, Sister Mama Adia, saying, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.